Thank you for that. Thank you. John gives the very best introductions on the planet. If he ever loses his job here, he can introduce people. But hey, it's so great to be back with you. It's such a joy and honor to be with you. I truly am beginning to feel like a part of your family here, and that's a blessing to me that you have no idea how I feel about that. But I absolutely love your church. I love everything that's going on here. I love your staff, second to none, really. I get around in the nation, speak here and there. Just a fantastic staff. And I really love the series that you're in, the book of James, because James is so practical. It's about now that we've been saved by our faith, here's the behaviors that should be evident because of our faith. It's not about being perfect. None of us are perfect. In fact, James says in chapter 3, verse 2, we all stumble in many ways. That could be my life verse. I stumble in many ways. I still sin. I've been a pastor a long time, a Christian most of my life, but I still fail. It's not about perfection. It's about progressing and growing in our faith. But today I want to ask a little bit of a different question, and it's this. What would you say is the secret to a long and healthy life? What's the secret to a long and healthy life? In his book, Outlive, Dr. Peter Itea studies the science of longevity, and he wonders why people who live past 100 live 25 years longer than the average person. For example, Dick Overton died at the age of 112 in Austin, Texas. His secret? Well, Dick said, I ended every day with a shot of bourbon and a good cigar. Way to go, Dick. Jean Calment smoked a pack a day until she was 117. Was it her smoking or the pound of chocolate that she ate every week that kept her alive? We're not sure. Teresa Rowley of Grand Rapids lived to 104. Teresa said it was her daily Diet Coke. Any Coke fans here? Daily Diet Coke that kept her going. Ruth Benjamin of Illinois said the key to reaching her 109th birthday was her daily dose of bacon and potatoes in some way. Atia says this, if we didn't know any better, we might think the key to longevity is the breakfast special at Denny's, washed down by Jim Beam and a good cigar. He says, actually, genetics plays a big role. So my 95-year-old mom says the key to her longevity, number one, is her faith in Christ, but second is her daily pot of Folgers coffee. She says, Bob, you got to drink coffee. But my dad died at age 71. So the question is, did I get my mom's genetics or my dad's? If I got my dad's, I maybe have 3 years left. But no matter if it's 3 years or 23 years, my life is going to end one day, and actually so is yours. Every single one of us has an ending date. In fact, the exact date has already been determined. I love what Psalm 139 says about this. It says, all the days ordained for me, all the days ordained for you have already been written down, which is why I don't worry about it. God's already written down the exact day my life on this planet will end, and I'm actually good with it. In fact, when I retired 5 years ago, our whole church showed up. My two kids spoke. A couple of our pastors said a few words. Even my dog came. After it was all done, though, here's what my wife said. She said, Bob, that was your funeral. She said, I'm not going through that again. When you die, we're going to put you in a box and bury you out back. My wife's very pragmatic. I love that about her. But look how James describes our lives. He says this, what is your life? Great question. What is your life? He says, you are a mist that appears for just a little while and then disappears. We're just a mist that appears for a little while and then we're gone. which means that whatever you're going through right now, good or bad, is temporary. Whatever highs or lows, gains or losses are temporary. It also means that if we're going to do something significant with our lives, we better get after it. The title of this talk today is Live Like a Mist. Live like a mist. Since life is short, how should we live it? And James touches on 4 ways. The first way is he says, do some good every single day. James 4:17, anyone who knows the good he should do and doesn't do it sins. Question, is there a good that you and I ought to do today? This very day? Or is our schedule so full of travel, sports, and hobbies, there's no time for doing some actual good? So James warns us. He says this, there are those who say, today or tomorrow, we'll go to a certain city maybe, we'll stay there a year, we'll even do business and make a profit. But he says this, but how do you even know what's going to happen tomorrow? And notice they've got it all planned out. When? Well, today or tomorrow. Where? To a certain city, not sure. How long? Probably for a year. What are they going to do? Expand their business and make a profit. Now, there's nothing wrong with planning trips and making money, but what he's saying is this, that in all our planning, gang, in all our planning for the future, we can miss the urgency. We can miss the beauty, the absolute gift that this day and this moment. He says, you don't even know what'll happen tomorrow. So anyone who knows the good he should do today and doesn't do it actually sins. One of the things I don't want to miss are the little opportunities to do good that come along every single day. Things like a hug or a smile or a kind word. A few years ago, we got a wedding invitation. It was for the son of one of my wife's sister. Her name is Carolyn. But I immediately dismissed this wedding invitation because it was in Baltimore. And who wants to go to Baltimore for a wedding? I mean, nobody does. Plus, Carolyn, my wife's sister, and I have some history that goes way back to high school when I started to date her sister, Lori. I didn't like the crowd that Carolyn hung with. And she didn't like me always pointing that out to her. In fact, this was prom night. Look how happy we are. I had hair. I mean, Lori is so beautiful, and Carolyn is right there. She's just mad. And I was mad. We just butted heads all through our early years in life. But then one day we turned 40. And I thought, what are we fighting about? And today I can tell you, Carolyn is one of my favorite people. And it meant the world to her that Lori and I would set aside time and expense to come to her son's wedding in Baltimore. The night we left the reception hall to return home, we were saying our goodbyes, and Carolyn singled me out of about 100 people, beelined for me, and she said, Bob, I can't tell you how much it means to us that you came to Andy's wedding. I kind of brushed it off. I said, of course we'd come. And then Carolyn did something I will never forget. She took my face in her hands. If you've ever had someone do that, you can't go anywhere. It's like, okay, what's going to happen now? Took my face in her hands and she said, Bob, look at me. Tears were beginning to pool in her eyes. She said, I will never forget that you came. And the words that you said in your toast to Andy about being a real man was so good for every young man to hear. And then she said these words. She said, Bob, I love you. I mean, what's that worth? How valuable is that? And we arrived home. I was beat, tired, behind at work, hadn't exercised in 4 days. But I can tell you the moments sitting and laughing with Carolyn and Tim were so good. I have missed way too many of those moments. So James asks it. He says, what is your life? What's it all about anyway? Gang, isn't it mainly about relationships? Jesus said it himself when he was pressed on what is the meaning of life. He says, look, it comes down to two things. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. Have a relationship with the living God who loves you. And then love others like you love yourself. James says anyone who knows the good he should do and doesn't do it misses the entire point of life. I just want to ask, anybody here maybe need to get on a plane and go visit a son, daughter, sister or brother? Or maybe just send a nice text. Maybe make a call. One of my favorite Instagram reels is of an older Irish couple, and they're trying to record a message for their daughter who just had a baby, and they totally botch it. I want you to watch this and enjoy it.
Hi, Orla. Hope you're having a wonderful time. Won't be long now till you're holding your own baby. Oh, sorry, love. We're not used to making videos. I know everything will be fine. Stop. Everything will be fine for you, love. Oh, no, sorry, love. We have the chuckles now. Anyway, can't wait to see her, hold her in our arms. Know you and Sean will make wonderful parents. That's terrible.
I'm sorry, Ola.
He's laughing at me. Anyway, hope you have a great day, sweetheart. We will see you soon.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love to have parents like that? And grandparents. I just love this couple. I've watched this about 20 times. But the intention is they just want to do good. They're good people. Do some good each day. Life is short. Second way, give up control. Now, this is really hard for a lot of people. It's hard for me. I love to have control. But people who live like a mist let go of things and circumstances that they can't control. And this verse tees it up. Verse 7, he says, see how the farmer waits for the land to yield its crop and how patient he is for the fall and spring rain. Anybody here waiting for something that you have no control over? He says a farmer has to wait, has to be patient, because he has no control over the weather. So what does he do? He plows his field, he plants his seeds, he does what only he can do. And then all he can do is wait for rain. When you live like a mist, you stop stressing about things that you can't control, like the weather, world events, another person's behavior. We have no control over those things, so what should we do? Focus on what we can control. Gang, we can't control what's on the news. That spikes our anxiety. But we can control how much we watch of it. Same with social media. After scrolling through Instagram, not once have I said, oh, I feel so much better having wasted 20 minutes. We can't control what's on our screens, but we have 100% control over how much we consume it. So I just tell my kids over and over, David and Meg, control what you can control. Love your spouse. Raise your kids. Go to work. Stay strong in your faith, and God will honor and bless you. Another thing, unfortunately, we can't control is other people. I mean, do you have anybody in your life who's just difficult? I mean, some of you are married to one. Don't look at them. I mean, we all have difficult people in our lives. It could be another parent on your son or daughter's soccer team. Could be a coworker. Could be a coach, classmate, or neighbor. I've had that neighbor, by the way. We all have difficult people who we can't control. But here's what's tragic, is when we allow them to control us, to control our peace and our joy. We can't control other people, but gang, we have 100% control over our response to them. So how should we respond to difficult people? I have 4 quick tips. Number 1, lower your expectations. Don't expect a foolish person to be wise or a dishonest person to be honest. Don't expect a toxic, hurtful person to be kind and good. A dishonest, foolish, toxic person will always be that way. So stop being shocked when a fool acts like a fool. Lower your expectations of people. Second, limit your exposure. It's okay to lovingly avoid a fool. In fact, Proverbs 13:20, look what it says. A companion of fools suffers harm. I take that verse very seriously. It's a warning to avoid people who don't take responsibility for their foolish behavior. If you see them in aisle 4, duck into aisle 10. It's okay to avoid a hurtful person. Third, outlast them. Sometimes you just got to outlast a difficult person till they die off. I mean, neighbors move, classmates graduate. Sometimes you just got to outlast people. Fourth way, glad you enjoyed that. Fourth way, just pray. Sometimes all you can do, say, God, help me. Help me control my emotions and my anger. And instead, fill me. Fill me with your spirit of love, joy, peace, and self-control. By the way, you know who else is difficult? I am. That might come as a shock. It shouldn't. Ask my wife, my kids, they'll tell you, I can be very difficult. Sometimes you're difficult. Sometimes the first person we need to control exactly is ourselves. Gain control what you can control. The farmer plows his field. He plants his seeds. And then he waits patiently for God to show up because he can't control anything else. But then he adds a very interesting statement, James does. He says, for Jesus coming is near. Plant your seeds, wait for rain. For Jesus coming is near. Kind of an odd statement. What it means is that no matter what's going on in your life, Jesus is coming for you. He sees what you're going through. He sees how hard it is sometimes. But gang, Jesus is coming for us. Some of you are single right now, and you don't want to be. And you're facing another week alone, kind of scrolling through Facebook, trying to find a connection. I assure you, Jesus sees you. Jesus knows everything about you. and he's coming for you. Jesus said, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. He is with you. He is coming for you. Maybe you're in a job right now without much purpose, and so you show up, you put in your time, you wonder if it'll ever get better. Honestly, it can take time. It can take years for a job situation to turn. But if you control what only you can control, I promise that Jesus is coming for you. And he'll honor your labor. Maybe you've prayed for children. And you've tried to be happy for other couples, but it's your deepest sorrow. And you wonder if God even cares anymore. Gang, I don't know why. I don't know how, but if you will trust him, Jesus is coming for you. He has come. He will come. Maybe not in the way you think, but he's coming. And he will show you his goodness in unexpected ways. Or maybe it's just a sadness that you can't even explain. James says our life is so short, and he promises that no matter what's happening right now, Jesus is coming for you in this life and the next. The farmer plows his field, he plants his seeds, he controls what he can control, and then here's what he does. He just trusts that in the right time and in the right way, God will show up and God will honor his faith. Third way that misty people live, they overcome grumbling. They overcome grumbling with gratitude. James 5:9, don't grumble against each other or God will be upset. He'll judge you a little bit on that. Now this word grumble is in the present perfect tense, and it refers to someone who is constantly in a bad mood. Know anybody like that? Now, it's okay to get angry. In fact, we should get angry at things like theft, abuse, and dishonesty, but the Bible says, in your anger, don't sin. It's okay to get angry. We should get angry at certain things, but don't let it turn into ongoing anger. Do you know anybody who's just mad at everything? They wake up mad. They go to work mad. They drive mad and wait in line mad. Just mad. Some people get mad over the smallest things. Even a candy bar. I want to show you a fun video real quick. Classic.
Mr. Costanza, I really don't have time for this.
Now, if this mechanic guy was, in fact, eating a Fifth Avenue bar, as he claims, wouldn't you agree he would have no problem picking one out from a candy lineup?
Candy lineup?
I've spent the last hour preparing 10 candy bars with no wrappers or identification of any kind for him to select from.
Took you an hour?
Only I hold the answer key to their true candy identities. And so, without further ado, I give you the candy lineup.
Hey, Willie, check it out. Free candy.
That's my candy lineup. Where are my cards? They're all on the floor. And you? How many Twix does that make for you today? Like 8 Twix?
No. Hey, this cork bar is good.
It's a Twix! They're all Twix! It was a setup! A setup, I tell you! And you've ruined it! You've all screwed me again! Now, give me one. Give me a Twix.
They're all gone.
Twix!
Is he happy? No. He had a choice to either just enjoy your candy bar, or he could get all twisted up around the axle, which a lot of us do, and I do the same. Gang, life is too short to live it mad. By the way, I lived mad for a very long time. Very little patience, critical and harsh to almost everybody. My wife and I used to walk a lot together. We had a long route that we took very frequently. There was a lady on our route who watched us from her window. And I'd never met her, But it turns out she had a name for me. She called me the Mad Walker. Apparently, I walked mad. But in recent years, I have found something that has changed me. And it's gratitude. Because when you intentionally look for things to be grateful for, it cures your grumbling. I mean, first thing I do every morning is just, God, thank you that I'm alive. I made it through the night. I mean, that's a plus. Then the absolute joy of morning coffee with French vanilla creamer, pure delight. Have you ever thanked God for the coffee bean that comes from a tropical plant that God created from the very beginning, and the vanilla bean that had originated from Reunion Island in the Indian Ocean? Have you ever thanked God for vanilla bean ice cream? It's heaven. God said, let the land sprout with every sort of seed-bearing plant. I mean, when was the last time you marveled at the watermelon seed? William Jennings Bryan wrote these words, love these words. When you can tell me how this seed sprouts as a tiny leaf that turns into a sprawling vine, that blooms yellow flowers, that forms a hard surface of green, turns into a white rind inside with a red heart, so delicious it drips down your chin. When you can explain the absolute miracle of the watermelon seed or peach, apple, pear, or avocado seed, only then can you explain the miraculous goodness of God. The only proper response is to wake up grateful every single day. Sight. Your retina transmits data through the optic nerve at a rate of 10 million bits per second. And I don't understand any of that. But what I do understand is that this body part made up of fluid, nerves, and muscle can see over 1,000 different shades of color. When was the last time we were grateful for the color yellow or sapphire? Some people can't see color. Grateful for puppies. Grateful for reef fish created by God. Grateful for a bull elk bugling in the wild. There's nothing better than that sound right there. When you hear it on a Montana ridge, which I've heard many times. James says your life is a mist. Don't live it mad. Live it grateful. It'll change you. It'll change your family. It'll change your workplace if you walk in with a grateful heart. Final way to live like a mist. James says, persevere through difficulty. He says it this way in the next verse, be patient. Be patient in the face of suffering. Why? For blessed are those who persevere through suffering. You've heard of Job's perseverance and have seen what God had finally brought about. Friends, everybody suffers in this world. Every single one of us. But those of us who have Jesus know that our suffering is temporary and that God has a purpose for our pain. He doesn't cause our pain, but He uses our pain for greater purposes that sometimes we don't even see. James references Job, who in a 2-day period lost everything. He lost his family, livestock, health, his wealth, everything. But Job's faith never wavered. He didn't understand his pain, but he had a quiet confidence that no matter what happened to him, God was in control. And God had a purpose and plan for his life. In fact, at the lowest point in Job's life, the Bible says this: God made Job prosperous again and gave him twice as much as he had before. He lived to 140 years and saw his children and their children to the fourth generation. And what I've learned over 68 years of life is that when I enter a season of pain and suffering, I might not understand why. Oftentimes I don't understand why. But I've come to learn that in all things, even in the painful things, God is working for my good. That He has a plan and purpose for my life, and that my job is to persevere through the difficult times. I'm not into classical music at all, but I love Ludwig van Beethoven, who lived during the 1700s. He was the greatest composer and pianist of his time. By his late 20s, Beethoven was already famous, but then he started to go deaf, which to a composer and musician is career-ending. And he raged. He was in despair. He thought of ending his own life. How could he write musical scores that he couldn't sound out? How could he conduct a full orchestra that he couldn't even see or hear? And he wondered why God would allow his life to end like this. But it wasn't the end. Because of his deafness, Beethoven was forced to stop relying on the styles of other composers. He began letting the music form in his head without the influence of other composers. His inability to hear actually freed up his mind to be led by God's Spirit. So completely deaf, Beethoven wrote his greatest triumph, the Ninth Symphony, that 200 years later still sells out orchestra halls around the world. When he first performed it in Vienna, he had to be physically turned around to see the audience standing and cheering for him. It was the greatest orchestra piece ever written that Beethoven would never hear with his own ears. What began as his greatest loss turned into his greatest gift to the world. Even today, Beethoven's Ode to Joy is played at more weddings than any other score. And so today, I know that some of you are going through a season of suffering or loss right now. And it's so blinding to you. You can't even see a way through. Some of you are so tired of waiting for some good news that it weighs on you every day. And you wonder if you'll ever feel whole again. Friends, it's a hard world, but God understands it. He sees you right here, right now. He knows everything about you. He knows about your anxieties, your fears. He knows about loneliness. He is for you. He's got a plan for you. It's a good plan. And through his servant James, God gave us this promise: be patient in the face of suffering. For blessed are those. A blessing is coming. A good thing is coming your way. For those who push through and persevere, Jesus is coming for you. But in the meantime, in this brief existence we call life, do something good every day. Give up controlling or trying to control the things that are beyond your control. Overcome grumbling and anger with gratitude. And persevere through hardship and pain. And if you do, I promise that God still has a plan and a purpose for your life. And could it be that our greatest contributions to the world will not be in spite of our losses and pain, but like Beethoven, it'll be because of our losses and pain. The farmer plows his field, he plants his seeds, and then he waits patiently for God to see him through. Thank you for the privilege of being with you today. Again, I love your church. God's doing a good work inside each one of you. That you took time and you made an effort to come to church today when you could be doing a whole lot of other things in this moment. God's going to honor that. Thank God for all of you. God bless you.